Zlurpcast!
You guys, Zlurpcast TV is on the air. This is episode 7. Xtreme is in charge. I don't know why he's in charge of the episodes. For some reason, we put a vote out there behind closed doors, secret meeting, and, silent ballots, whatever you want to call it. Xtreme was voted as the one who is the keeper of the list, and the list includes topics. Today's topic is Zlurpcast favorites, things that we are currently into. Is that correct, Xtreme?
That is correct. So your chance to get to know everyone a little bit better, what we're currently into, what's our current favorite on a few different subjects, items.
I like it. So things, now it could be pop culture things, but I mean, you gave us a short list. You might try to, throw a few screwballs in there to try to get us. I'm ready. You know what? Bring it on, Xtreme. This is your chance to grill the grillers.
Are we going to do one at a time, go around, then go to the next one?
Yes. Yeah, that was my intention. Pick one and then kind of go around in the quadrants. Okay. And once we've completed that circle, we'll go on to the next one.
So we will go soggy biscuit rules. All right?
Yeah. We'll go in orthogonal directions.
Orthogonal. Pentultimate directions. Yeah.
Orthogonal.
So
that one.
Xtreme is right there, right?
No.
You said it was beforehand.
He's to your left, directly to your left.
Oh, whatever. By the way, I'm going to show off these stickers real quick. We'll talk more about how to get these later in the episode. Show you're in the Zlurp Nation, pretty badass, and that you watch Zlurpcast TV. We'll talk more later. All right, Xtreme, you're running the show, my friend.
Sweet. So the first one was movie. So what is your current favorite movie? Mike.
Any genre or like comedy or
porn?
Anything that you're into right now. All right. I want to throw a couple things out there just to maybe get the creative juices flowing. It's the first one, rewatchability is something to consider in movies. There are many movies that are like dramas that I'm like, I watch it once. It was great. Loved it. You're going to watch it again? No. Why would I watch it again? Meanwhile, I can watch I Love You, Man 500 times, so.
I'm the same, but with Schindler's List.
No, that's definitely something to consider for like your all-time favorite. But with our list today, is just what your current favorite is.
Current favorites. Anyone want to go first?
He called out Mike.
Oh, he did. Okay, I missed it.
I haven't seen a lot of movies lately. I'll be honest with you. I had never ever seen a Purge movie before. And so I was like, I'm going to use this little free time I have to watch it. So I watched all the Purge movies, both seasons of the TV show.
Wow.
I didn't even know there was a TV show.
There's 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And one thing Brian had said earlier, we had brought up Purge movies a long time ago, and it was like, he's like, they only deal with murder. They don't deal with these other things. But season 2 of the TV show actually dealt with, long-term planning of criminal enterprise, just robberies and
nice.
Things like that. So we'll throw that out there.
So
I mean, that's 4 movies and 20 episodes of a TV show.
Do you
Feeding
think,
the system already.
something to consider too? Do you think that in the maybe 3-4 years or so of maybe probably even longer of TV getting better and better, people in general watch less movies? I don't. Like, if you're talking about things I haven't seen before, I should watch more on, Netflix or cable or something. But, probably takes me to have to go to a movie theater to see something I haven't seen before, something newer. So I'll throw 2 out there because I liked them both. They were towards the end of last year. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, and Joker. Both were, and I don't even like going to movie theaters. Everything annoys the shit out of me at a movie theater. Just no one has any consideration for anything there. But I saw those in a relatively short period of time. And the first 2 that come to mind of, I not only enjoyed the theater experience, but I enjoyed the movies a lot. Going into a Tarantino movie, I know I'm going to already be biased in liking it because I like, pretty much all of his movies. I made sure with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to not do any research because I knew enough to know it skated that line of like alternate history, sort of like
Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, Inglourious Bastards. But I don't want to read anymore. So that way I was able to watch it, kind of, think like who's who, and I kind of see like, oh, I think that's him, and you see things pop up, and I loved it. Both Brad Pitt and DiCaprio were amazing in it.
I think Brad Pitt was better though.
Yeah, he was better, but I have, man crushing on both those guys. Anything they do is fucking great to me. So love that. And then, I mean, the new Joker movie was also awesome because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it was just to someone who, and I'm not this person. I don't dislike superhero movies by any means, but like, it's not that type of movie. It's like, this is like a mental illness kind of movie.
It almost didn't need to be the Joker.
No, it didn't. And then they left it kind of a little bit open at the end there. Like, well, was he, or did he just influence what the Joker actually, because then people are analyzing like the age gap and this and that. So I thought they were both great. I didn't know what to expect with that one either. I just thought, hey, if it's a Batman Joker kind of thing, I like it. Everything. He's another one of those guys where the things Joaquin Phoenix is in, usually I enjoy. He's one of those fucked up actors that just, you like weird shit. Like, you're going to watch the movie Her and think it's great. And I don't know if it really was great. I enjoyed it, but regular people probably thought it was insane. So those are the two for me that, if you look at recent times, and I don't see a lot of movies right now, it's mostly TV shows that really stick with me as in being cool. And I don't mind going to the theater and dealing with all the bullshit that goes with theaters and an hour's worth of commercials to watch those two. So I liked them.
Joker, I think, was my favorite movie last year. Like, not my most enjoyable, but I think it was the best movie.
What was your most enjoyable?
I don't know, maybe Avengers Endgame just because it was just fun. But Joker was probably the best movie, and I agree. The theater experience, like, people were quiet and attentive throughout the entire thing.
Yeah. Well, and that one too, it's kind of funny because that's the kind of movie where you may laugh at different times in that movie. And then some people may say there's certain times you shouldn't be laughing in that movie, but it's all like when he can't stop laughing in any scene because of his issue. Like,
yeah,
I thought that was just hilarious. And he's got the card and the kid and everything. And it was just, I liked it, but that was one of those where people were watching that movie. And I'm sure with a lot of people, because it is like a spotlight on mental illness kind of movie and someone sliding through the system. I think some people, you get really taken out of the moment, like, yeah, there was a superhero movie. I mean, I saw an ad pop up today on Instagram. It was like I might have been searching something, that's why I got this, and it was like a painting of all the different Jokers, and of course, all the comments are saying, fuck Jared Leto, whatever. But, Joaquin Phoenix was in there and had them all around a table, and it was just, they're like playing cards and everything, all having Joker cards. It was a cool
I'd wear a shirt with that on it.
What's that?
I'd wear a t-shirt with that on it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I think that those are, Joker and Batman, there's an element of pop culture that kind of transcends things too. I picked up a graphic novel the other day, and it was a different take on the Joker. I didn't read it yet, but it was just like, just by the art, I'm like, I think I'm going to like this. It'll look like a style I would like. But I think those are just characters that they don't fall under superheroes, even though they are. And I think, like, same with Dark Knight for me. Like, I love Dark Knight, but I'm not a Batman guy. But so I think there's something, it's kind of cool. I think there's some crossover to normal culture that you would never get in a Marvel movie,
I think Joker is great because it could play in an art house theater, and it's a super. What disappointed me a bit after Joker came out is, so the DCEU has been kind of garbage. Wonder Woman was fun, Aquaman was fun, but they have no kind of cohesion. They're not that great as far as like an extended universe. I'd like to see a dark DC universe that takes place in where the Joker was. Yeah. More grounded. No, don't even need superpowers. Just, you can be just crazy people who think they have superpowers.
Have they not done anything? It's surprisingly like they wouldn't have it even, DC's other line, where, I don't know if it's still Vertigo, whatever it's called, where it's more adult. Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done that. I mean, didn't they do a Harley Quinn one that was kind of like that though? Where it was kind of, no? Like on the latest
they did a Harley Quinn animated series on the DC network or whatever. that's far more adult oriented, but it's more, poop and boner jokes than.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. Vanessa, my wife, really liked it, but
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I was just taken aback by all the people saying swear words. It didn't seem right in a cartoon. But
They are coming out with
a lot of time in America. I didn't like it until the ending. The ending got me in that movie because it got super silly. It just felt more like self-masturbatory Hollywood a little bit to me.
In which movie?
In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Like La La Land, those kind of movies that Hollywood, like, it's a movie about us. Isn't this great?
Yeah, but I mean,
But the Bruce Lee scene was awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really, I mean, the coinciding with the Manson stuff and all that. You're supposed to look at Hollywood as all glitz and glamorous because that's kind of was the portrayal. But I just love that it went completely dark, and then not to say too much to anyone watching it, but it was just one of those where you've got these things that happen. It's just like a lot of like holy shit kind of moments that happen at the end, and it was just fun. And so I think if you're a Tarantino fan, you've seen throughout those movies. It's going to sound weird when I say this, but all these movies get less and less Tarantino-y as time goes on.
Yeah.
Lose all the witty dialogue. We're like, it's not the fucking 90s anymore, man. Like that's not.
That's still in there, but it's not as prevalent.
Right, and that's not what defines his movies anymore. It hasn't in years, like so long. But people still look for that because Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs got them into everything, or even Jackie Brown. So they got into those. So they still look for those, and a lot of people feel disappointed, even though there's a lot of Tarantino-isms with like the product placement of the different types of brands and things that carry over for movies. I thought it was great. So I mean, it wasn't for everyone, but I also really like. I like that period of time too. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like I work in classic rock radio, but classic rock is now 80s all the time. It's Bon Jovi and shit. And meanwhile, I actually love the music of like the late 60s. It's great. You don't hear that much on the radio because it's oldies now. That's considered oldies, which is weird. But that movie was also kind of a reminder to me of that time period and that era and how cool things were. So
it reminds me of Quentin Tarantino as a director has moved on from just the over the top snappy dialogue into more of a accomplished, whereas to me Kevin Smith has never moved on from that type of dialogue in his movies.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to touch on that, Brian, you recommend, or Xtreme rather, you recommended not because it was great, but you said, hey, watch it. The new Kevin. I haven't even watched it. If you said it was great, I probably would have made time to watch it. But I think you said it was just whatever, and I haven't made time yet.
Yeah, I said it. My description of it was that it's not a good movie, but there's a lot of fan service moments. So if you're a fan of his stuff, it's worth watching once.
Okay.
That's
Did you like that cartoon he did a few years ago?
Which one?
It was I forgot the name of it. Not the Clerks one was great, but it was is it Jay and Bob something? And it was maybe 5 years ago. I watched one. I was like, I don't even like this at all, and I didn't even continue it. It was some anime.
Called Jay and Fat Guy in a hockey jersey.
Is that the name of it? I don't know. I don't know.
Be.
Oh. No, it came out and it had like a bunch of people doing voices that I liked. So I'm like, I just was like, they're trying way too hard to do like bong jokes. And I just didn't stick with it. And maybe it got funny. Maybe someone watching this is like, this guy's an idiot. It was hilarious. Maybe it was, but I didn't get sucked in and I stopped watching it. I did like the other things he did because was it Red State? He did that
Red State was very good.
That was good.
It's a horror movie, right?
Yeah, Red State was great.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, that's a good discussion. Is the Jay and Bob thing over? Are we done with them?
I look at I thought it was over a long time ago, and then Clerks 2 came out, and I loved Clerks 2.
Really?
But since Clerks 2, like Red State and Clerks 2, I think are the last things that he did that I really enjoyed. Yeah,
Clerks 2. I liked it at the theater. It wasn't until I saw it again that I thought it was better than my first showing of it. All those movies, though, I think, talk about fan service. He's been doing that forever. I would say anything after Chasing Amy has been all fan service with anything Jay and Bob involved.
It's only the first 40 minutes of Chasing Amy that are watchable.
Well, I enjoyed the whole movie except for Joey Lauren Adams screaming in the parking lot. If you can just cut that, you ruined it, Holden, and then they cut that out. I like the rest of it. But,
I like the finger cuffs.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah, I think he always does the fan service, but I don't know. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to let you guys know once it happens. But
now, will Red State make me mad, Brian?
No, not at all.
Because I kind of remember being about like the dumb Republican horror movie.
No, I think the name definitely, I can see where you take that from the name, but no, not at all.
Okay. That relates to one of my favorite movies that I saw recently.
Is it by Michael Moore?
No.
Okay, check.
I like a lot of his movies, actually, because I know that they're just entertainment.
You know, I bet you would. He is a misinformation junkie, so I bet you would like him.
I love it.
All right, so Biran, did you want what you said yours?
Yeah, I have 3 that I watched just I mean, not my favorite, but things that stuck with me. Actually, maybe 4 movies. Afterlife. It stars Liam Neeson. It's got Christina Ricci, naked, and Justin Long, the Mac commercial guy, not naked.
You don't have to call him that anymore. He's done other stuff.
Yeah, and also Liam Neeson is not naked in it, and which is a disappointment.
Does he do improvisational comedy?
That is amazing.
Look that one up.
Extras, right? Was it? No, that was Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, it was. What's the little man? Warwick Davis, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Warwick Davis, aka Wicked.
Yeah, Warwick Davis has a show with Ricky Gervais called Life's Too Short. Just look up the scene, Liam Neeson, improv comedy. It's great. It's someone you don't expect to do comedy, and he clearly doesn't do it well. So yeah,
but he does. Maybe he does do it well.
Well, we laughed during it, so maybe.
Yeah. We can't laugh at him anymore though, because he's super racist.
Is that true?
It's basically he plays a funeral home director, Liam Neeson, and Christina Ricci is fiance with the Mac commercial guy. Gets in a car accident, wakes up on a slab in the funeral home. Opens her eyes, and there's Liam Neeson informing her she's dead. And she's like, I don't believe it. I can't. I'm talking to you. And it basically starts hitting at the supernatural thing, like he speaks with dead people, this and this and that. But it ends with a twist, or does it? I don't know. But it's super creepy when you think about what this funeral director is doing if he doesn't, in fact, have superpowers to these people, and how many people he's done it to. And it was on the streaming site for free, like Tubi, I think it's called. I'll have to look it up if you guys are ever interested in seeing it. It's like totally free streaming site. And I've never even heard of this movie, but it's got Christina Ricci naked. That's enough for me to watch.
You say Huli?
Yeah. Not Huli from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Which is another show that I finally watched thinking I would hate, but ended up loving it, like Portlandia.
I think it was fine all the way through, too. So I like it.
But I thought it would be, Silicon Valley. Not my kind of people. But I love it.
I could tell you would like it.
Yeah. So that Afterlife is the one I never even knew it came out, and it had these pretty big name actors in it, so I recommend that one. The other one, going back to Red State, was The Hunt with Betty Gilpin from Glow.
Yeah.
It was one that here's the weird thing. So if you asked me several years ago, what are going to be your 2 favorite movies in the first half of 2020, both of them are Blumhouse movies, which could be very hit or miss. The Hunt is basically The Most Dangerous Game retold. And they pulled it from theaters because of the controversy, because it made it seem like it was some sort of anti-conservative / redneck / Trump supporter, liberal elite hunting him down and killing him. But it's not, and it is because the liberal elite are kind of the bad guys.
Yeah, yeah.
And the rednecks are kind of dumb, except for the Betty Gilpin character, who is genius and is now my favorite actress of all time. And so basically, it's The Most Dangerous Game with rich liberal elite hunting down Trump redneck Republicans, and Betty Gilpin turns the tables on. It's awesome. And the other one, another Blumhouse movie, was Invisible Man with what's her face from Elizabeth Moss.
Peggy from
Mad Men.
Yeah, I would say it's a much better movie than The Hunt, but The Hunt's more fun, but this is more artistic. And it's a really good take on, and again, it harkens back to Joker, where they were going to do that dark universe, cinematic universe with Tom Cruise as the mummy guy and all that. They should really start thinking about doing the Marvel or the Universal Monsters using this as the kickoff point, the Invisible Man. It was so good. Kind of a
They
dark.
gave up on that already. The dark universe.
Yeah, they gave up immediately after the first movie failed.
Well, that was the second time they gave up on it. And
Yeah.
this time I think they finally, because I was super excited about that. I thought it would be so awesome. Like the Universal Monster, it works. Like you can have the team ups, you can have everything going on, and
But
I guess it doesn't work.
Invisible Man kind of got screwed. It was doing okay at the box office, but then all the movie theaters closed, so they put it on streaming. I think it was good enough where you could do a grounded monster universe based in that universe. It was so good, and they left it open for more movies. So that was probably the best movie I've seen this year, but my most enjoyable was The Hunt.
Nice. I'll have to check those out. Xtreme.
Well, you guys had some excellent answers there, and you feel inadequate now with my answer that I have prepared. I do want to watch The Hunt. That's on my list to watch. I haven't got to it yet. So I've been catching up on a lot of TV series and stuff. I haven't been watching very many movies, but one of the things I have been doing is rewatching Cobra Kai, trying to get ready for season 3 that'll be coming out in the fall, hopefully. And along with that, because season 3 will start going into some of the other films, I've been rewatching the movies too. So even the ones that I don't like, the Karate Kid 3 and the next Karate Kid, I watched one more time.
Oh, like the Hilary Swank character is going to show up?
She is officially in the Miyagi-verse. So she is canon.
Yeah, but she's not going to be in the Cobra Kai show.
She could be. They have said that she is officially in that universe. That
Special star. She was also in The Hunt.
Oh, nice.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So
I would say
you don't like Karate Kid 3, Brian?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Quicksilver, the bad boy of karate, Mike Barnes.
The thing that frustrates me the most about Karate Kid 3 is I'm a stickler for rules. And it's a tournament, the All Valley tournament in Karate Kid 3 makes no sense. Like there were rules set in place and Karate Kid won and then going back and then Karate Kid 3 were like, we're going to make up the rules.
Listen, when you fuck with the guy's bonsai tree, you get what's coming to you. Yeah. I believe the bad guy in that, the bully, Mike Barnes, gave a nice kick to his girlfriend in the shop too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And listen, I'm not saying if you support Cobra Kai, you support that kind of violence against women, but all the pieces are there. So
Johnny would never do that.
I don't think he would.
No.
So
Do you disagree, Brian? Do you think Johnny would hit a woman?
I mean, he kind of had a scuffle with Allie, but I think she kind of fell.
Yeah.
So.
And she went to the dive, said, I hit my head on the door. I don't want to talk about it.
I heard it in soccer practice, like you did it.
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah, I like the Cobra Kai series though. It's fun. I think it's there's stuff in there for. I mean, the way I tell people about it that never gave it a chance, because I mean it's not on. It's on YouTube, right? Like
YouTube, formerly Red, now YouTube Premium.
Yeah, so I mean it's not something that a lot of people have. And what I tell people is, well, the only thing I'm going to say is, wouldn't it be cool if the tables were turned? And because we always have said for years how Daniel's the bad guy and Johnny's the good guy. So it starts off sort of like that in a sense. So just that alone is usually the only thing I tell people about it, because I want them to kind of, check it out for themselves. But just that alone usually goes, oh, that sounds cool. Because everyone thinks of the first movie. That first movie is always ingrained in everybody's head, from our generation especially. So any kind of tie-in to that, especially like the memes of whatnot of who was really the asshole here, and it gets people to want to check it out.
Like, I want to say Zabka made appearances in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Because Neil Patrick Harris was friends with him or something.
So here's trivia for you guys. So William Zabka, the bad guy, obviously in the
alleged. From a certain perspective, yeah.
In the script it said that, but we know better. We're smarter than that. We're better than this, guys. Are we better than this? We're better than this. What 3 other movies from that same era in the mid-ish 80s did he play essentially the same character?
I want to say Better Off Dead, but that's not him. That's someone else.
Not that one. No. So mid 80s, the bully type character. Same thing. Anyone? So National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Oh, yes.
He's cheating on Audrey.
Luckily, Stacy's been coming by to cheer me up. That
So,
is also the ugliest Aubrey by far.
Oh,
she's a weird-looking girl.
Yeah.
Weird looking.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I try not to live my life by judging the kids in Lampoon movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're a Johnny Galecki guy for Rusty, whatever. I get it.
And Rusty was an ugly-looking guy too. God, where did they get those two?
Clearly from their dad. So that's one of them. The other one is Back to School.
Yes. Oh, I got a cramp. Probably menstrual. Screw you, Melon.
How do you remember that whole sequence and not that he was in there? And the last one of my favorite 80s movies that's very underrated is Just One of the Guys, where Terry wants to write an article for the paper, can't be taken seriously because she's a girl. So she decides to cut off her hair,
dress from the headlines,
change schools, and he's the bully in that movie as well. They all came out in a 2-year span of each other, same character in all of them.
Am I the only one? What I remember most specifically about that is that when she takes her top off and shows her breasts, those breasts are way too big to hide.
The breasts are phenomenal. And there's a great line in that scene at the end. So basically, the guy she starts to like, Rick Morehouse, why do I know his name in the movie, gets into a fight at the end. And then all of a sudden, so he knows that Terry is really a girl. And so he kisses her. And this is at prom, and all these students are out there, and it's like in unison, a gasp, because it's a guy kissing a guy, and he goes, "It's all right, everyone. He has tits." Like that's the
that
line
would work today.
What's that?
That would work today. I'm just having prom all the time.
That's the line. It's such a great line. Like, "It's all right, everyone. He has tits." Like it's such
a. You'd say it if it was a fat guy too, though.
So yeah, go watch that one. I'm sure you can watch it on YouTube for free. Just One of the Guys.
While I was looking around on the free streaming site for a horror movie, where I found Afterlife, there was a famous the best Jim Carrey as a virgin in a vampire movie, Once Bitten.
Yeah.
And that's the one where his friends have to look for his bite, where he got bit by the vampire.
That was a really early movie for him, right?
Yeah, they tackle him in the shower, and then the one guy goes, "Faglard, fags in the shower." It's like they had drilled, in case this happens, this is what you have to do.
So let's talk about that real quick. If there's something offensive in a movie, but when it was made, it was no big deal, is it still okay to laugh?
For me, yes.
I'm watching Superbad the other day, and Jonah Hill goes, "Hey, faggle," instead of Fogel. And I thought that it shouldn't make me laugh, but it was like at that moment, the funniest thing ever. Hey, faggle.
Well, Revenge of the Nerds, very rapey.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's major rape scene when he's, goes after his wife, which should have been a Johnny Lawrence role.
Yeah.
But it's weird. So I don't know if it's okay. I think it's okay to laugh, but
Speaking of Revenge of the Nerds, there were 2 movies. One was called Tag, and I forgot what the other one was called, but one featured Gilbert and one featured Lewis, and they were both started upon a premise of a secret spy paintball game at a college.
Was Tag the knockoff of what was that game? It was a toy game, and you bought guns, but it wasn't.
It was the one with, was it the paintball one? Gotcha.
The paintball one.
Gotcha.
What's it called?
Gotcha.
That was the one Jim McMahon did commercials for.
Well, was there a version of how Transformers to GoBots got you to something else? Because I think there was a garbage Kmart one.
There was the 4-stripe Adidas of that.
Right. Yeah.
Wasn't Tag the one with Don Draper and Ed Helms and?
That's a newer one. Yeah, and Jeremy Renner.
An older one. Okay.
Yeah, that's an actual game of physical tag.
So Biran's talking about tagging someone with paintballs in the 80s. You're talking about a bunch of dudes that some women think are good looking, doing some comedic roles, to expand their range.
The thing is, that movie is not very comedic.
Which one?
Tag, the new Tag with Jeremy
Oh,
Renner. And
Tag is
What
not.
about, what about the old Tag?
good. Not good, but good. In an 80s sort of way.
Xtreme, do you think we need to have a Tag episode?
Sure. I mean, the only thing I remember about the old Tag movie is like the last scene of the movie. So I don't know. It didn't stick with me.
Is that a
at all.
spoiler? Did someone get tagged? Don't say it. Don't say it if they did. Did they get tagged?
They got tagged.
Did Booger get tagged? By the way, Booger's one of those actors that no matter what you see him in, you always go, hey, it's Booger.
Booger.
Like, every time. He popped up in a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, and it's the hilarious scene.
He's in lots of stuff, yeah.
Once again, another scene that it's one of those where, is it okay to laugh at? But it was, it's always, hey, it's Booger. You know,
Yep.
He was in a Domino's commercial the other day, I saw. So obviously things are going well for him. He's in Domino's commercials. So, so Xtreme, carry on.
No. So I think we're good there with movies. We'll move on to another one. Well, how about comic books that you're currently into, your current favorites?
I recently picked up, let's see if I've got it. I wasn't planning on bringing props, but I can. I recently picked this one up. So a different take on some things. I think, what's the rule now? Anything that comes out now is canon, but things from the past aren't.
Yep.
I don't really care because I still like some of those old stories. I even like the weird Star Wars ones. There was Star Wars Tales, where it was like, speaking of Tarantino, there was a whole Pulp Fiction scene in one of those with Mace Windu and Yoda talking, and it was a very Jules and Vincent scene. So that was a very non-canon one time. But this was good. Cool twist at the end here. I have not picked up any other ones because my comic store has been closed. And this is a fairly new thing. I think I could have got the second one, but I might have just let it slide. I know we talked about that in a previous episode of, you know, you're a nerd when you let your comic collection reach it where it's like, yeah, you haven't bought stuff in a while. Like, I know. But that one for sure. And then I also started reading, because I'm a Garth Ennis fan. I started reading The Boys because the series was good on, not FX, Amazon.
Amazon.
Right? Amazon Prime.
The series was amazing. I loved it.
You know, I always knew that was one of those where, because I liked Preacher and then his take on Punisher so much that I don't know why. I actually, you know, had some of them. I had some random issues, but then I now recently got the trades. But that was one that I knew I would like, and there was no reason. I just always put it off. And then once I watched the series, I'm like, cool. I would have preferred to do it the other way around, but whatever. It doesn't matter. With my memory, everything's brand new after a fucking year anyway. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. I think it's done super well because it's a great take on things. I think people already know about it, so I'm not breaking anything new. But if you think you like those sort of different take on superheroes, Watchmen-esque, I think you would like that. I'm happy that good TV shows are getting people into comics. One thing I won't do, when I go to the comic shop, I will not buy a comic or graphic novel if the cover is from the show or movie.
Oh yeah, that bumps me out too.
I can't do that. So I was like gonna get one I didn't have. I'm like, oh, and it's got, you know, the kid's face on it, Huey, and I'm like, that's not. No, because in the comic, Huey's more like his dad. It's more like Simon Pegg. So I got to get the actual ones. But for the sake of getting people into stuff, I'm a fan of, you know, the shows like Watchmen that are getting people into comics, and even the Marvel shows. You know, like they did a great. I mean, I'd like to think that if you like Punisher, you would have read it anyway. But if you got into it because it was a good show, I liked it. I mean, they're all.
Did you like the Watchmen show? Did you see it, the HBO one?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Also,
and one of those shows, you watch the show, and then I would recommend reading the graphic novel again, and then watch the show again because there's so many little Easter eggs. There's so many.
Yeah. I watched the movie again before I watched the show. Not that you really had to by any means, but it's different.
I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it was great. It's a great soundtrack too. Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails fans would like that. And if you're a fan of Laura from Family Matters, there you go. She's in that as well. Did I do that, Laura? She's in there. She's got an expanded role from what you know her with Urkel. She's a much better actress than Family Matters. But so I'd say those two, the new Darth Vader series and The Boys.
I've really enjoyed the reboot of the X-Men, the House of X and Powers of X.
Is that the one where Wolverine and Iceman are gay?
No.
Okay.
Did you make that up?
No, there's the new one coming out where Wolverine is in a polyamorous relationship with Cyclops and Jean Grey.
Jean Grey, yes.
Well, I mean,
it's been implied, but let's put it this way: they live in a house. Jean Grey's bedroom has doors to both Cyclops and Wolverine's bedrooms.
You know, it's funny that like now they're doing it and they think they're so cutting edge.
Oh yeah.
You know, meanwhile, what was that one that came out? It was The Authority. Remember that comic?
Yeah.
And that was the whole, like, we made our Batman character gay and that kind of thing. And that was like in 1995. And now it's like, ooh, we're going to, like, you know what? Nothing's shocking anymore.
They're not gay. So but you know, they're just wiener cousins. So, you know, Eskimo brothers, but yeah. But the 12 issue miniseries, or it was actually 2 6 issues, was just amazing.
What's it called, Mike?
It's House of X and Power of X, and they're out in graphic novels now. That they kind of reboot all the X-Men, but not. Now Marvel has DC when DC reboots something, they just say fuck it, we're starting over. Yeah. Marvel does these soft reboot things, but they have this whole premise where if you're when they first introduced the new X-Men back in the 70s, the bad guy is this mutant island named Krakoa, and they're living on that island now. They've made their own sovereign nation. All the mutants are welcome, and regardless of their past. But there's all these different timelines. There's 10 years ago, there's now, there's 10 years from now, 100 years from now, and 1,000 years from now. And they've got these kind of divergent storylines, but they're all built. It's just an amazing story. Cool. And then from that's a springboard, which they had 5 or 6 different comics come out of it. And those have been pretty good. They haven't, I mean, they just don't live up to the initial 12 issue series, but they're pretty good. And again, part of the problem is I read all 12 of those at once, and then these have been coming out.
I don't say that's a problem at all. That's my preferred way of reading comics. I don't.
Oh yeah, and they're writing them that way now too. So it's kind of how you.
It's kind of like TV. I don't like waiting. I don't like waiting a month. I mean, it's. I'd rather have it all right there. They're just easier to read. So, and also the great thing about reading them in the trades, someone else probably already told you about it, so you didn't have to experiment. You just go get it. It's only the first person in your circle of friends has to buy the actual comics. And then it's like, it's already 5 years old. I'll get it on trade.
There's a comic shop by me that, in addition to selling trades, what he does with his back issues is he bundles them by storyline and sells them as a block.
Yeah, making his own trades.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's awesome. And I think he charges about what a trade would cost, so you can get ones that wouldn't necessarily even warrant a trade paperback. You'd be able to still experience. So I did that with a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Xtreme?
So I've been reading through the classic G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and I've gotten to the point now where it's all the Larry Hama written stories, and it's where IDW took it over and kind of relaunched the same thing and kept the issue numbers going from the original story, but now he's not.
What year was that?
I need 2000, I don't know, 2010-ish maybe.
Oh, okay. It was more recent than I thought. For some reason, I remember that happening much longer ago because it seemed like something changed. And I remember, like, because when I used to go to the store, I didn't buy those, but I would notice they were in sort of things looked different.
Yeah, that's when IDW took them over. There was another Devil's Due did a G.I. Joe title for a while.
Okay.
But this one is considered like a Real American Hero canon timeline. And I've finally gotten to the point where I'm into those IDW issues, and it's really awesome because now he's not trying to sell toys anymore. So it's not like you have to squeeze these characters in because they're coming out soon. And which, I don't know, sometimes it was really funny because you could see the characters that he just hated, and he would like make fun of them in the comic, and there's nothing they could really do about it.
Like, hey, Barbecue, why don't you go put out some more fires?
Yeah, why did Barbecue have a Boston accent too in the cartoon?
That was the greatest cartoon they ever did, though. The one in the firehouse.
Yeah.
Where it was a windshield wiper guy.
Well, I think because then Barbecue was on one of the PSAs as well.
Yep.
Like, hey, don't touch the doorknob if it's hot. It means there's a fire over there. You know, like
be a hero like Tom Brady.
But it's really nice getting into the IDW stuff now, because now you can see where Larry's actually more of a writer, and you have like creative storylines going on, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than where the other ones were just kind of like silly fluff, remembering G.I. Joe, getting to that point.
How many panels have empty text bubbles for Snake Eyes?
None.
I just imagine them doing that. What do you think, Snake Eyes? Empty text bubble.
I think that where the earlier runs were also kid geared though too, right?
Yeah, to an extent, and they had like
they were darker though than the cartoon, I thought.
Well, I know they were, but they were still not like I don't know. They were military comics. You know what I mean?
No, they had like a secondary title, G.I. Joe Secret Missions, that was more adult. And that was like the more real military stuff, where they weren't even, I don't even think Cobra was really in Secret Missions. It was more like real military.
They were fighting the Ruskies and the Chi-Coms.
Yeah, but now
maybe Cobra La or Serpentor would make an appearance.
No, Larry Hama, Cobra La doesn't appear in the comics at all, because Larry Hama thought it was the stupidest thing ever created. And I agree with that.
Meredith is pretty solid.
Yeah, but 10-year-old kids also thought that, so.
Yes.
So.
Because I don't know, when I was a kid, I think that's when I gave up on G.I. Joe's. When the movie came out, I was like, all right, yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah, it was weird because, well, there were characters in like the toys and the show that were different but still cool, like Zartan, Dreadnoks. But then it got a little too much. Serpentor was kind of weird, and it just wasn't quite the same anymore. So yeah.
But the episode where they kind of built Serpentor, the miniseries, I really liked it. I don't know if it holds up, but I liked it.
When they created him, because it was like they had to. He was like.
They had Dracula's DNA and Genghis Khan, and I think in the uncut one they had Hitler. That would have been pretty.
That was only that.
And then they ended up getting Sergeant Slaughter's DNA,
which is the same as Hitler's, which is weird.
Yeah.
Same character.
I think as a kid, if I had been reading the comics, I probably would have stuck with G.I. Joe's longer. But I was only watching the cartoon, and that movie came out. I was kind of.
I remember after the movie a while, there was one of the reboots they tried to do it. It was like G.I. Joe and Cobra. They found this other gang that was rising through the ranks, and it turns out they were like drug dealers. And Cobra said, "Well, we don't want this either. Let's fight together to end the drug dealers." I'm like, what? You guys try to kill everyone on the planet.
They were terrorists back when it was cool to be called a terrorist.
Yeah, they were freedom fighters.
They did new movies with like The Rock and stuff. Did you guys see those?
I did. They're not good, but I enjoyed them.
You know, I saw the first one because I was like, oh, I love G.I. Joe. And I think I saw it in the theater. And then the second one I heard is more like real G.I. Joe. But because I didn't like the first one at all, I didn't even try to watch the second one, even though I heard it's better.
Neither are good, but you should watch them anyway.
Okay. All right. What else you got? Did we go Biran? Yeah, we did, right?
No.
Oh, no? Oh, I'm sorry. Biran, what hentai issues are you currently?
La Blue Girl, for those out there that know.
And how many empty panel ones are you looking for in there?
Yeah. Well, they get smudged, so I can't read them. No, the two I read, and I will say one I liked and one I hated. One is the primary that I hated, and the spinoff was one I liked. So the primary one I hated was the Secret Wars, where Dr. Doom becomes God. I read them, like I tried to read them in order where you have to buy like $800 worth of comics to get the true timeline.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. It started with like Black Widow or something. I'm like, this is terrible. I'm just going to read the graphic novel trade.
Did you look online and have somebody, they listed out like what order to read? Yeah, those are
I'm looking at Comixology and I'm like, I'm not spending that.
Yeah, I hate that because I don't want to like get random issues of other characters, you know, because it's like if we were meant to see that with it, they would have put that pertinent information.
Yeah, and it doesn't fit in. It's just like, this is what Black Widow's doing at this time. And
you don't need to.
I don't give a shit. So that was garbage. It was dumb. It was poorly written. The art was good, I thought, but man, the story was dumb. I like the concept of Dr. Doom becoming God, but it was awful. But then I read the spin-off one that was MODOK, what MODOK was doing at this time. and it was amazing.
Hmm.
It was the best thing I read in a long time. What's
you were
the
talking
girl
about
he
that
ends
in one
up
of our.
falling in love with?
Angela.
Angela. He ends up falling in love with Angela, who's one of the Thors, which are like the police force for God Doom planets. And it's just, MODOK is such a fun character, and he's drawn really well in this series. So it was a trade called MODOK Assassin, and it's so good.
Would you guys say that good arts would make up for not the best story?
Not for the entire length of a trade. Maybe for one issue, but if the whole thing story's garbage, I'll stop.
No, yeah, art doesn't do it for me at all.
I
Like,
think
the story's not good. I don't care how good the art is.
Like the
Now,
Todd McFarlane Spider-Man
What?
miniseries, the stories were garbage and the art was really good. At least at the time, I loved
for
it.
McFarlane, yeah.
Yeah, but the stories were almost all garbage.
Oh, they were terrible. Yeah. And I look back at McFarlane's art now, and I go, "Why did I like that as a kid?"
Because it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Spawn was also pretty unique at the time for many reasons. Also, the fact that it was the first time, was that like the first time a non-Marvel or DC character became popular?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, Spawn was it, right? So it was completely
It
different.
made a bad movie that I also still liked.
Yeah, I remember the soundtrack in the era of good movie soundtracks being cool because they had collaborations. But was that with John Leguizamo too?
Yes, he played the clown.
Clown, yeah, okay, I remember that.
And the main bad guy was Martin Sheen.
Was it Malbosia? Was Martin Sheen? No.
He was the commander of Spawn when he was still.
Okay, yeah. So, I think
I'm wearing in honor. I'm wearing my Team Canada.
Look at that.
For comics.
You're one of the few people I know who likes that.
I don't like Alpha Flight. I got it as a goof.
Yeah. He'll tell you that every time he wears it.
Why is it a goof?
Because they're Canadian.
No, I know that, but did you buy it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to say to that.
I said, what would be a cool comic book to get a shirt for that I would get as a goof? And the one that.
Well, okay, so we talked in fact, this is a good tie-in. We've talked in our Zlurp Nation extra content. Sign up, by the way, definitely in the description of this video, extra stuff in there. But in the past, we've discussed different levels of geekdom. And are you actually okay? Now, you're wearing it here, which is fine because it's just us. This is a safe space for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you wear that to a con?
No, because I try to wear shirts that don't make people come up to me.
Right. Because they're going to ask you, like, oh, and you're like, no,
like Alpha Flight? And like, no, they suck.
I do this thing. I wear shirts. Ironically, it's my thing.
I think that
I
would
bought
be
a Red Hulk shirt too, and I like Red Hulk, but I don't like Alpha Flight because the only reason I picked Alpha Flight is I want to find an even bigger joke of a team. So I was looking for a shirt for Great Lakes Avengers. They didn't have it.
You can make one, I'm sure.
I feel like that con interaction you just described is something you would enjoy, though. Hey, do you like Alpha Flight? No.
No.
You know what? He would enjoy it if he knew somebody else was watching. Like, I don't think Biran would do a joke like that for the sake of the joke. He would
I got to get paid.
I need to get paid. I need to get the fans, us that we know we have to see him do it. I don't think he would do it just as a goof.
I need an audience, yeah.
Right.
Well, like, hypothetically, if someone were standing around doing a demo of a game, like, hey, Brian, you want to do this with me? And he turned to you, looked you right in the face, and said no, and walked away.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's like when dudes at Todd's shop would come up to me and go, hey, look, like they painted some cast where you're like, what do you think of this paint job? And I go, that looks like shit.
Yeah.
Or I'd help you do this, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And you'd walk away.
And then he looks at Todd like, Todd, back me on this. Todd's like, no, the guy's spending money. I'm not going to back you.
But like kids love that. They love the abuse. Oh, I got Biran. It was awesome.
If anyone takes one thing from this episode, kids love the abuse.
Yeah.
That'll be the title.
Hashtag for the day. Xtreme, what else you got in your book of secrets there?
Well, I don't know how much time we have. We want to do one more and then wrap it up, or do we want to keep going?
You know what? The world is your oyster.
All right. Well, let's do one more. These rounds are taking a little bit longer than I thought they would. So let's go with going completely different poppy culture direction. Your current favorite wrestler?
Ooh, Biran, anything?
Who's the Japanese girl I like?
Asuka.
Asa, yeah. That's the only one I like.
Yeah.
The only current one I like.
Oh, what about from the past? Just curious at your knowledge.
Oh, I was an Andre the Giant Man when I was a kid.
Okay. So
I was
she's awesome.
Any reason?
So her gimmick is she's just weird, right? That's her like. It's not a superpower with her like poison eye drip on her mask.
Green mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. Well, she hasn't done it recently, but yeah.
I mean,
She had the heel turn. She started doing that.
Does she have
she's
superpowers?
She's a really good wrestler. She's entertaining without speaking English, which is a pretty hard thing to do.
She knows how to say, "Hey guys, what's up?" That's her every YouTube video. That's all she says in English.
But in an era where we still have people like Jerry Lawler saying like, "Hey, listen, if I wanted Chinese food, I would," like. Meanwhile, like, you do understand that she found a way to actually connect with people without even speaking English.
Well, I appreciate how WWE they were making her speak English and have these really awkward promos. Mm-hmm. And they started letting the people that don't speak English or have English not their native language give promos in their native language. You don't know what they're saying, but you get the gist of it.
And people just go, yeah!
Yeah, and they put her on commentary on a couple of matches, and it's just her just going off in Japanese, and no one knows what she's saying, but it's awesome.
Well,
and
there's something so that reaches into the dark crevices of my heart when you see Asuka walk out in Podunk, Mississippi for a show, and you see these giant beer belly rednecks just going ape shit for her. And she doesn't like lean on the sexuality at all.
Some of them do, not all of them.
I love that.
Yeah, I think, well, if you think about it, when American wrestlers have been going to Japan for years, and granted, it's more common to, understand English in Japan than vice versa.
Right.
That still happened there for years. You send a Brock Lesnar to Japan, and he's not that he talks much anyway, but he'll yell something, and then
Asuka knows more English than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true. She could probably read and write more as well too. Yeah. So, all right, that's a fair pick for a non-wrestling fan. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I actually watched her wrestle. That's the first. Like, I used to just watch her YouTube, like funny stuff. Here's me making a burrito or whatever. I actually watched her wrestle, and I go, that's kind of fun. She's very athletic because I guess she was an MMA person.
Her first job was a video game designer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she actually owns a couple of hairdressing studios in Japan and has some skills with that too. So
wow.
Yeah, she's a real. I mean, she's very technically sound. She's a great ring general for the wrestling nerds out there, kind of to keep those matches going the way they're supposed to go. So yeah, she's doing great.
All right, so that's my pick and only pick.
All right, Valdric.
I will say recently, even though not wrestling much, is Zelina Vega. She has been tying together Raw. And Raw is a show I do not care for. Raw is way too long. The matches have sucked. But just her stable and the way they brought in, I love Andrade. I love, goddamn, drawing a blank. Angel Garza. I love that guy. Austin Theory, I followed him when I've seen him a few times at Evolve shows and whatever. And she is just great on commentary.
So, I like her. To me, she's by far the most compelling part of that whole stable.
Yeah. For sure.
I don't care about any of the guys in it. So she's great, and she's doing what, I think CM Punk at one of those, shows like Backstage talked about, she's doing a very old school approach of a manager running a stable. And that's a very like Bobby Heenan or even like, Vince McMahon or Paul Heyman, these guys that were known for, handling more than one wrestler, and the fact that she's a woman, so it's sort of more of that old school valet than a manager. I love it. However, for me, it hasn't reached the point where I do like and care about those wrestlers. Andrade is my favorite of that group. I think he has the best future, but none of them have really I think I don't know. I just go with what I feel. None of them have really gotten to that point where I care so much about watching their matches, though.
Oh,
I like her though.
Yeah. The ironic thing is, if like Katie like watches some of her other like podcasts and whatever, can't stand her. You know, the video game stuff, the everything, the stuff she does with Aleister Black. I like him a lot. I don't like her in real life.
What do they do? I don't even know.
Oh, she's got the show called A to Z, where the one I saw, they're going out to they're going out in nature, and he's all like talking about nature and how you want to get get back into nature and whatever. And she was trying to say, "Oh, I have a water sign. Of course, I like nature." And there's a bug, and she's scared of it, and she's just not, and she's too hot, and it's just. It wasn't entertaining.
That's one of those where you like the character she plays, but you think as a person she's annoying.
Yeah, and whenever she's not, if she's ever on like Up, Down, Down, I find her annoying. So,
what's Up, Down, Down? Is that a video game thing?
It's Xavier Woods he's hurt right now, so he's been doing a lot of stuff. He's does a video game pod. He's a really big super nerd, geeky, and he does a lot of video game stuff. And currently, what they're doing is they're like live streaming. It's him, Adam Cole, Cesaro, and Tyler Breeze playing Uno. It is hilarious. It's
playing Uno,
like online
on the
Uno.
Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh, on video game, but still,
video games. But they're doing all these crazy variants with like the sevens, you get to swap hands, and the zeros it rotates, and then there's one version with bunnies that come up. They play. They put bombs on the deck, and when the bomb goes off, it throws up cards, and it's just.
There was a video game journalist guy who used to be on Giant Bomb that joined WWE in some manner. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, Dan Reichert. I think he's doing a lot of production behind the scenes stuff, but there's a lot of crossover between video game players and video game journalists and pro wrestlers, because pro wrestlers got a lot of downtime.
They got all that downtime, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just that's also just a byproduct of nerd culture crossing everything now. Yep. I mean, how many Twitch streamers are out there that they probably wouldn't be video game nerds if it wasn't a lucrative way of like monetizing their Instagram channel. You know what I mean? It's still kind of
they're all vectors to bring money in at this point.
Right.
Now.
It's like, I know. Can someone else help me? I don't know how to play this. I'll show you. It's just like, all right.
Do you want to buy my bathwater?
I will tell you, it's kind of weird. I think we're all, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but like the idea of watching people play video games, I just can't ever get behind.
We're too old.
Yeah, we have to be. I mean, I can't do it. The only thing I'll do is if I want to look something up of how to do something. Yeah, I'll watch just for that little part, but I'm not going to do it to get to know the player or whatever. I usually find everybody annoying anyway. That somebody's punching people. Oh, look at this guy! Like you don't need small talk, man. You just get through the scene. You don't have to do the whole jokes. But I just can't do it. I can't watch that kind of stuff. I'll go with the wrestlers. My current favorite's probably the same as my all-time favorite. Probably still Chris Jericho. He's found a way to reinvent himself year after year after year, and promotion after it's unbelievable that he continues to do new things, and it's always interesting. It's always compelling. I remember I was at his debut in WWE or WWF at the time. The whole crowd, this is like earlier days of the internet where not everything was out there, but the whole crowd knew it was him. They had these cool vignettes. It was great. Immediately gets in the middle of a Rock promo. 2 years later, he beats The Rock in Austin in the same pay-per-view. So these moments of, even though he was never like the man, where like Rock and Austin had their moments of being the man, and then John Cena later on. He was never like that guy, but he did have the accolades over time. And the fact that he can go to Japan, reinvent himself, come to AEW, take that, and get some name recognition immediately with it. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do to break it down to one wrestler. My youth will say Macho Man because I loved him. And right now, with current stuff, I love watching anything Kenny Omega does. On the video game thing, he plays against Xavier Woods, and they play Street Fighter and tournaments and whatever together. But there's a lot of great, fun wrestlers to watch now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, but there's no way I can take it away from Jericho. It's, so
and
good.
His commentary is, I mean, he can take one thing that's just like a throwaway statement, like the little bit of the bubbly, and make a thing about it. Yeah. Pineapple Pete, he has made that guy's career.
Yeah, he gave him something.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like there are times on the current AEW, because it's I guess they're probably recording it after the fact. But I know he's trying to go for like the jokes, like rapid fire, because it is interesting. But when he puts the jokes aside and actually will do just traditional heel commentary, he's also good at that. I mean, even just a weird little quip. There was one thing I think I put in a tweet one day, but it was on the side in AEW, had like Marco Stunt and then Billy Gunn's son and Billy Gunn. He's like, look at these idiots. They look like stairs. And it was such a like nothing comment, but they did look like stairs.
Yeah.
And so I love that kind of stuff. I got to interview him when I was at a previous station, and he's as laid back, as down to earth as you'd imagine. So I mean, there's a lot of honorable mentions out there. Some I mentioned, CM Punk I've always loved to. It's just, but if I had to pick one, current and probably all time, still Jericho.
Now, I'm so ignorant of current wrestling. They don't pretend it's real anymore, right?
I mean, the way to answer that one is the veil has been lifted, the curtain has been opened. You're still coming along for the ride because we're still making it even more compelling than when we tried to keep an image up.
It turns out it can still be interesting even without that.
So back in the old days, you'd have wrestlers go on a talk show, like Jay Leno or whatever, and they're in full get up, Macho Man's still doing and that doesn't help the cause at all. Now you get that person, sometimes they'll use their real name too. They'll get that person because the idea is we're telling you what this is, but you're going to be the real wrestling fans are even more engaged than the wrestling fans that in 1989. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter about the scripted finish and what's happening. What happens is you like certain characters, you like certain storylines. It's bringing you in. So when that's like, oh, 2 count, like we're all like, oh, someone who's not into it is like, this is dumb. Why are you so into that? Like, well, because we enjoy it. Why are you into a movie that has a twist at the end? When, Tarantino movies have a twist, people don't say, hey, well, it's a bad example because Brad Pitt is actually hot in real life and in movies, but it's the same kind of thing. So you're watching it with an entertainment value, and I think wrestling fans, at least the smarter ones, appreciate all the work that goes into it, the fact that they're putting their bodies on the line, and that you can watch wrestlers nowadays, like Mike said, they all got these YouTube shows and these things that you get to know the person way more. There are times where I'd watch somebody on Raw like 10 years ago, 50 years ago, and I'd like, I don't like him, boring for every reason why I don't like him. Yet, if it was nowadays and they did something funny online, I actually might like them. Like, I've never liked Randy Orton, but maybe there was a moment in time where he could have done something cool that I liked, and that would have made him think that. So now you get attached to these characters and these athletes because of everything they're doing, both on screen and on other screens. And I mean, Mike could probably rattle off 10 different, video blogs they all do. So there's just a lot that goes into it now. And it's kind of at a different level. The idea of something being scripted, it's like, that's so low on the list of things we can talk about. We just there's no reason to talk about it anymore. Put it that way.
Sexiest Brad Pitt's ever been in a movie. Go. I'm going to start with Fury.
That's a good choice. Man, I am a sucker for the Tyler Durden for many reasons.
Not the foppish interview with a vampire, more the...
Well, his younger roles, I mean, some girls might like that, but give me the old grizzled Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So I would have to go with Tyler Durden on that one, Fight Club.
The one that can ride you hard and put you away wet.
Yeah, and teach me how to make bombs with common household goods, too.
Yeah.
Even though it was in my head the whole time. I love that.
Mike, sexiest Brad Pitt?
Ocean's 11.
Ooh. Very,
well, I love
Xtreme, get your dick off the
choice.
camera. Xtreme has his dick on the camera right now. What's going on? What is that?
Is that a finger?
What is that, Xtreme? What body part is that?
It's dick pink.
What?
It's mechanical pink.
What happened?
There's no way his dick is pink. It's definitely darker. All right, what's that, Xtreme?
Where are we at?
What's the sexiest Brad Pitt character?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Got nothing?
Nothing.
That's all right.
Boy, us three didn't have to think at all. We already had it in our minds.
Yeah. Had them all lined up. He's one of those, though. I mean, as time goes on, you know,
He gets better looking the older he gets.
I know. It was good stuff. So, Xtreme, on the wrestling talk, you have yet to go.
Right now, it is Cody Rhodes. I really appreciate all the historical appreciation for his family and stuff that he's bringing in subtly into his matches, and then also, you know, respecting and bringing into wrestling, but then at the same time having his own story and going on, and the way that everything's being handled there, with him being, you know, the head face of the company basically, but not necessarily like squashing down other talent, but helping lift them up too. So he is my current favorite.
So I think, to put that in perspective, people like Biran who may not know, think about, you're the son of a pro wrestling legend, Dusty Rhodes. You are like, the highest you've ever gotten in WWE is mid-card level, and then a joke mid-card level at that.
Yeah.
Then you say, I'm going to go to independence. I'm going to go to Japan and see what we can do, and realize, holy shit, wrestling's at a different level right now. What if we tried to do our own event? Oh, great success. It happened. What if we tried to do a couple of other events? Great. What if we decided to do a new company? And so they started their own thing. And it's kind of cool, because all these guys that banded together to create this All Elite Wrestling, it is kind of a middle finger to WWE bit, because the idea that a lot of you guys said we weren't good enough. Now look at us. And, you know, most wrestling fans, I mean, there are some online that always have to pick sides and fight all the time. I just think it's a great time to be a pro wrestling fan. It's actually also a great time for people that may have said, oh, I used to watch it when I was a kid. Like, well, see if you would like it now. Put it on. If you still think it's dumb, that's fine, because that happens a lot. It happened to somebody I work with. You know, he used to watch the Attitude Era, and I said, you got to watch this. He goes, can't get into it. I go, no worries. Thanks for giving it a try. But you might be surprised. You might watch NXT with WWE and think this is awesome. You might watch AEW's and this is awesome. And you forget that, you know, it took a while to get to this point. But we're here now, and it's kind of a good time to be a wrestling fan.
I was kind of interested in the Japan wrestling stuff, because I wanted to do a Death Spiral on MMA stuff. And apparently one of the best MMA guys was kind of as a joke, who used to be a pro wrestler in Japan. He turned out being a badass. I can't remember his name. But it makes sense, because what I've seen of the Japanese wrestling, because I was just used to, you know, 80s era, you know. You see the Japanese stuff that I saw, and it's way more athletic.
Well, so kind of what it is the audiences are different, and the product is different, and the pops, as the crowd, you know, they would say that the crowd are different too. The Japanese crowd are more respectful. They're watching a show. It's almost like they're watching like a play, you know, and they clap for things that were like, I don't know, the Americans wouldn't be clapping for that.
Oh, they showed great honor.
Right. They would wait for like a crazy spot where they put their life on the line. Then you get applause in America when you're almost dead. That's the opposite in Japan. But the crossover has been pretty insane. I mean, the fact that, you know, whether you are watching WWE, notably NXT, or AEW, or Ring of Honor, which is sort of I guess you could put it as a third, if that, or Impact even, and they're either third. But the fact that many of these wrestlers now, they have several different qualities. It's not just, they're a big guy and they can talk. It's, you've got not only good wrestling ability, but you can wrestle different styles that you've learned in different areas. So in Japan, it is more of that stiffer, strong style. Is like, you know, it's pretty tough. Mexico is different. Also, it could be stiff. Mainly, it's about the show and the lucha libre thing. So you're learning these different styles. You bring it to America, and the difference now is a lot of wrestling fans respect that and enjoy that. Whereas 20 years ago, you'd have guys like this getting buried in WCW, and then even WWE in 10 years ago, even to a point, even now, because they're relegated to certain special shows. So it's kind of interesting that as wrestling companies have evolved, the talents have evolved, but it's kind of cool that they can bring these other different cultures with them, these styles of wrestling, and it's now appreciated and respected, as opposed to, oh, you're just going to be a cruiserweight or something like that. And kind of, I think about the the late 90s WCW, which, you know, became famous for taking all of the WWF has-beens, you know, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, and then they give like 18 minutes of TV time to, you know, Dean Malenko and Chris Jericho, who, you know, the match is going to be phenomenal. Yeah. It was just how they relegated that. And then it took other things to bring them up to kind of on everyone's radar. So it's a great time to be a fan now. And watching Japanese wrestling, the lines are blurred now. If you watch Japanese wrestling 20 years ago, it's completely different. Now the lines are blurred because people are going back and forth. You know, NXT and AEW has a lot of Japanese wrestlers, and they go back and forth. So.
Definitely, as far as this in-ring style, that is absolutely blurred now, where it's becoming one professional wrestling. But as far as like storytelling and how structuring things, AEW is borrowing a ton of stuff from the way New Japan has done it for years. And I think it's great because, you know, most of the American audience has never seen it done that way before, with long-term storytelling and like having wrestlers not face each other very often, like build up to that big match. Don't have them wrestle each other 5-6 times where you don't care anymore. You know, have them in 6-man tag matches so they could still be in the ring at the same time, but they never got that singles match together until the big pay-per-view that you pay off. So I don't know. It's an awesome time. There's something for everybody in wrestling right now.
I want to note that both Mike and I were very progressive in our choices.
We'll give a shout out. My favorite wrestler that's actually wrestling is Cesaro. He's just a solid workhorse, and I feel bad for him because he eats way too many pins.
Yeah.
But
you know what's funny is he's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched, I think I told you guys, that the old Colt Cabana documentary, and he's been doing so much shit for so long, and you think he does deserve better.
Yeah.
Like he's like main event caliber, and you could even play up an anti-American angle if you want to be a heel. He's just great at things.
Classic Iron Sheik move.
Yeah, exactly. But
he's a heel right now, so.
Oh, that's right. I guess in that sort of mini clique of sorts, yeah. But I think there's a lot you can do with him, and I applaud him for sticking around. I would have. I mean, maybe he's getting paid so well where he's just done with shitty paychecks, because he's done everything. You know, that the Ring of Honor stuff was great with him. So.
I believe Cody came out recently and said he's the most talented guy on WWE's roster.
Oh, nice.
So.
And every time they do anything, like on all these goofy shows, like they'll do something with axe throwing or bowling or whatever, Cesaro is always the best at it. He is just so much talent for everything. You know?
Just a natural athlete.
Yeah.
It's almost like the old school Mr. Perfect vignettes.
Yeah, exactly. But he's
hole in one, sinking that shot in pool. Yeah, so he's just great. So I think he hasn't really. Has he ever gotten a true push main event level or no? I don't think so.
Not solo. He was U.S. champion once, and he's had a couple of tag team belts with the.
Yeah, and I don't even count that. He's never gotten either world belt anywhere near it, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it sucks.
No.
And he's big. You'd think Vince would love that. He's a big guy, which he loves. So.
I don't know.
It's weird. So, all right. Xtreme, anything else, or you want to wrap it up there?
I think we should wrap it up there. I think that's a lot of content.
All right. I appreciate
All about quantity, not quality, that's for sure.
So, as you know, you're watching Zlurpcast TV. This is the extra small sticker. We'll say the Biran size. I don't want to say why I call this the Biran size, but
that's thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Objects in computer are closer than they appear. And if you're in the Zlurp Nation, get a sticker to show everyone how cool you are. What is the Zlurp Nation? Well, it's an email club we've had for over 10 years. And there's well over 500 people in it getting these extra videos, extra pictures. We gave away for free Xtreme's doodles. What was that, a month ago or so? So we gave those away for free. I don't think he trademarked it, copyright, whatever you want to call it. So Xtreme, do you care if someone takes that doodle and makes some dough off of it?
How about a whole tattoo sleeve?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, if someone did that, I would love to get to the point where, someone autographs someone's arm and then they get it tattooed. maybe we'll get to that point. I'd love to see like Biran do like an old English kind of cursive, like Biran, and someone's got to get that shit on there. But yeah, so make sure if you like this episode, you made it all the way through, why would you not want one delivered to your inbox every single Sunday? So do me a favor and slurp on that sub button. Boom, 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 boom. You gotta do an even number of times. Do an odd number, it means you just turned it off. You gotta make sure it's even. So once you're in there, we're gonna get a new episode every single Sunday. Sometimes they cover games, miniature games, board games, tabletop games. Sometimes they cover other topics of nerdery, like this one. In fact, I'm going to tell everyone what we're talking about next week. I'm going to give away a secret on the show. Normally, I would say that for Zlurp Nation inside that email. We are going to cover the professional wrestling, there's a tie in there, miniatures game called Rumble Slam. So tune in a week from today. Get that one all up in your grill. Until next time, follow at Zlurpcast. Make sure slurp on that sub button. For Biran, for Valdric, for Xtreme, I'm Jonny P. See you next time.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by McMurdy's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loathing it.